Here is a paradox that traps 99% of men. The more you actively try to stop thinking a thought, the more power you give it. The desperate attempt to suppress anxiety only amplifies it. The fight to forget a mistake only engraves it deeper into your mind. This is the exhausting, unwinnable war that most men are fighting inside their own heads every single day. They believe the battle is against the thoughts themselves. They are wrong. The Stoics knew the truth. They understood that you cannot win by fighting your own mind. You win by changing the rules of engagement. They developed a mental switch, a single powerful cognitive command that doesn't fight overthinking, but simply disables it. Instantly. This isn't about positive thinking or mindless meditation. This is a strategic weapon for your mind, a piece of forbidden knowledge that separates the mentally powerful from the perpetually worried. So before we begin, I want you to write one thing in the comments. What is the single thought that has been consuming your energy lately? Be honest. Now let's dismantle it. We live in the age of information warfare, and the primary battlefield is your attention. Every notification, every headline, every social media post is an attack on your focus. Your mind is constantly pulled in 1,000 different directions, baited with outrage, fear, and desire. The result is a chronic state of overthinking. It's not a personal failure. It's the engineered outcome of our environment. Men today are conditioned to ruminate. We analyse every past conversation, simulate every possible future catastrophe, and second-guess every decision. We call it being prepared or problem-solving. But it's a lie. It's a state of mental paralysis. This endless loop of internal noise doesn't lead to solutions. It leads to inaction, anxiety, and a slow erosion of your personal power. To break free, you don't need more information. You need a superior operating system for your mind. That system is modern stoicism, and the core of that system is the mental switch we are about to install. On the great deception of mental control. The first truth you must accept is this: you cannot directly control which thoughts arise in your mind. They are like weather patterns. They form and pass on their own. The average man believes he is weak because he has negative or anxious thoughts. He tries to wrestle them into submission, to force them out. This is like trying to punch the wind. The Stoic, however, understands that true power lies not in preventing the storm, but in having an unbreakable shelter. The thought itself is not the problem. Your engagement with it is. The mental switch isn't a button to delete thoughts. It's a tool to revoke their access to your emotional core. The moment you understand this, you stop fighting a losing battle and start playing a different game entirely, a game you are equipped to win. The goal is not a silent mind. The goal is a mind where you are the undisputed sovereign, deciding which thoughts are worthy of your attention. 2. The foundational switch, the dichotomy of control. Before any advanced technique, you must master the simple, brutal logic of the Stoics. This is the master algorithm. Is this within my control or outside of it? Most men intellectually know this concept, but they fail to use it as an instantaneous filter. Overthinking is the act of endlessly ruminating on things outside your control. What someone else thinks of you, what might happen tomorrow, a mistake you made yesterday. The Stoic doesn't ponder these things. He applies the filter with the speed of a reflex. The moment a thought arises, the question is asked, control or no control? If the answer is no control, the thought is immediately labelled as irrelevant noise. It's not analysed, it's not debated, it is dismissed. This isn't a long philosophical meditation. It is a rapid, decisive and ruthless sorting of mental data. 99% of what you worry about falls into the no control category. Imagine the mental energy you would reclaim by simply letting it all go. 3. The true switch, from participant to observer. Here is the core of the technique. Overthinking requires your participation. You must engage with the thought, argue with it, feel the emotions it generates, and follow it down its rabbit hole. You are an actor in the drama of your own mind. The mental switch is the act of consciously shifting your role from participant to observer. Imagine you are sitting in a movie theatre, and your thoughts are what's playing on the screen. The anxious thought appears, the angry thought appears, the regretful thought appears. The participant jumps into the screen and starts fighting the characters. The observer simply sits back, notices the thought and says, "Ah, there is anxiety. Interesting." He doesn't judge it, he doesn't engage it. He simply watches it play out, knowing he is not the movie, but the one watching the movie. This shift creates a crucial gap between you and the thought, and in that gap, the thought loses all its power over you. 4. The modern metaphor. Your cognitive firewall. Think of your mind like a computer connected to the internet. Thoughts are incoming data packets. Some are useful, containing important information, but the vast majority are spam, viruses, and malware designed to slow down your system and steal your resources. Overthinking is what happens when your firewall is down. Every single packet gets through, consuming your mental RAM and CPU. The Stoic mental switch is a cognitive firewall. When a thought packet arrives, the firewall instantly scans it using one rule. Is this actionable and within my control? If the answer is yes, it's allowed through to your conscious processing. If the answer is no, if it's a worry about the future, a regret about the past, or someone else's opinion, the firewall simply drops the packet. It doesn't even send a rejection notice. It just lets it vanish. Your job is not to chase down and delete every bad thought. Your job is to configure your firewall so they never get in to begin with. 5. Step 1 is detection. A switch cannot be flipped if you don't know it exists. The first step is to become ruthlessly aware of the moment an overthinking loop begins. It's a subtle shift. Your breathing might get shallower. You feel a familiar knot of tension in your chest or stomach. Your inner monologue, which was focused on a task, suddenly starts narrating a catastrophic what-if scenario. Most men are so deep in the fog of their own thoughts, they don't realize they've been spiraling for hours. You must train yourself to be the sentinel at the gate of your own mind. The goal is to catch the very first spark of rumination before it becomes a wildfire. At first, you'll catch it late, but with practice, you'll start to detect it earlier and earlier, until you can spot the enemy thought the very second it appears on the horizon. 6. Debunking the lie of productive worrying. Society, and perhaps even your own mind, will try to sell you a lie. It's the lie that overthinking is a form of productive work. We tell ourselves, "I'm not worrying, I'm problem solving," or "I need to think this through from every angle." This is a dangerous illusion. Let's be clear. Overthinking is the opposite of problem solving. Problem solving is a linear, focused process that moves towards a solution and ends in action. Overthinking is a circular, emotionally charged process that feeds on itself and ends in paralysis. A strong man analyzes a problem, makes a decision based on the available information, and then acts. An average man gets trapped in the analysis, forever weighing insignificant variables, paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. You must recognize worrying for what it is, a complete waste of your most valuable resource, your mental energy. 7. Step 2 is the verbal command. Once you have detected the intrusive thought, you must execute the command. This is the literal switch. It should be a short, powerful, internal phrase that you have pre-decided on. It is not a plea. It is a declaration of your authority. Examples could be, "This is irrelevant noise," or "This thought does not serve me," or the classic Stoic filter, "Is this in my control? No." Dismissed. The key is to say it internally with conviction. You are not asking the thought to leave. You are telling it that it has no jurisdiction here. This act of applying a verbal label and a command breaks the hypnotic trance of the thought. It re-establishes you as the one in charge. Find a command that resonates with your identity. Make it your mental signature, the symbol of your sovereignty over your own mind. 8. Marcus Aurelius and the inner citadel. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly about the inner citadel. This was his metaphor for the mind. He knew that the world outside could be chaotic, treacherous, and unpredictable. Betrayal, war, and plague were his daily realities. Yet he believed he could remain untouched because he could always retreat into the fortress of his own mind. This inner citadel, he said, was impregnable, unless you yourself grant the enemy entry. An anxious thought is an enemy scout at the gates. Overthinking is leaving the gates wide open and inviting the entire army in for a feast. The mental switch we are discussing is the act of being the gatekeeper. You see the scout, you recognize it's not one of yours, and you refuse entry. It's that simple and that profound. Your mind is your fortress. Stop letting your enemies live there rent-free. 9. This is a skill, not a miracle. Flipping this mental switch will feel unnatural at first. Your brain is wired by millions of years of evolution to pay attention to potential threats, and it often can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a negative comment on social media. Therefore, disengaging from these thoughts requires training. This is a muscle. You must build it. Here is a simple daily exercise. For 5 minutes, sit quietly and just observe your thoughts. Don't judge them. Don't follow them. Just watch them float by like clouds in the sky. When you notice you've gotten hooked on one, simply label it thinking and gently return to observing. This practice, often called mindfulness, is not about emptying your mind. It is the gym for your observer self. It strengthens your ability to see thoughts without becoming them, making it easier to flip the switch in the heat of a real-life moment. 10. Overthinking versus strategic planning. Let's draw a hard line in the sand. A man of superior intellect does not overthink. He plans strategically. What is the difference? The target. Overthinking is emotion-focused. It replays feelings of fear, regret, or anger. Strategic planning is action-focused. It asks, what is the desired outcome, and what are the next 3 steps I can take to move towards it, using only the resources I currently control? An overthinker asks, what if I fail and everyone laughs at me? A strategic planner asks, what is the most likely point of failure, and what is my contingency plan for it? One is a swamp of feeling. The other is a roadmap of action. The next time you find yourself thinking things through, apply this test. Is your thinking generating a list of actionable steps within your control? If not, you are not planning. You are worrying. Flip the switch. 11. The proactive strike. Premeditatio malorum. The ultimate level of this practice is not just to disable overthinking when it happens, but to prevent it from even starting. The Stoics had a powerful tool for this, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimistic worrying. It is a calm, rational, and controlled simulation. You sit down and deliberately think about what could go wrong in an upcoming situation. Your presentation could fail. You could lose the deal. But you don't stop there. You then calmly plan your response. If my presentation fails, I will review what went wrong and prepare better for the next one. If I lose the deal, I will focus my energy on the 3 other prospects in my pipeline. By confronting the worst-case scenario in a controlled environment, you strip it of its emotional power. You've already faced it. This proactively vaccinates you against future anxiety and cuts overthinking off at the source. 12. Case study. The high-stakes operator. Imagine a bomb disposal expert. Their mind cannot be cluttered with what-ifs. Or a surgeon in the middle of a complex operation. Or a CEO in a hostile negotiation. These individuals operate at the highest levels because they have mastered this mental switch, whether they call it stoicism or not. When a distracting thought enters their mind, am I good enough for this? What if I make a mistake? They cannot afford to engage with it. They have trained themselves to detect it, dismiss it as irrelevant data, and immediately redirect their focus to the task at hand, the next tiny, controllable action. Connect the red wire. Make the next incision. State the counteroffer. This is the mindset of the elite performer in any field. It is a mind that is a tool, not a tyrant. 13. Why it is hard, and why that's a good thing. Let's be honest, this is not easy. Your mind will resist. The old pathways of worry are deep grooves, and creating new ones requires effort. There will be days when you fail, when the thoughts overwhelm you. This is part of the process. The very difficulty of this practice is what makes it so valuable. Anything easily achieved is easily lost and holds little worth. The struggle to master your own mind is what forges true mental strength. It is the resistance that builds the muscle. Every man who walks the earth has a mind that generates anxious thoughts. The man who is defined by strength is the one who, despite this, chooses to practice this discipline day in and day out. The resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that the training is working. It is what separates you from the 99%. 14. The ultimate reward. True apatheia. The modern world has corrupted the meaning of the Stoic goal of apatheia. People think it means apathy, a state of emotionless, zombie-like indifference. This is completely wrong. Apatheia does not mean the absence of feeling. It means the absence of uncontrolled, irrational and disturbing feeling. It is a state of profound inner tranquility that comes from knowing that your well-being is not tied to external events. You can still feel joy, connection and satisfaction, but you are immune to the emotional poison of rage, panic and despair. It is the calm, unshakable confidence of the man who knows he is the master of his inner world, regardless of the chaos of the outer world. This is the ultimate prize for your training. It is not about feeling less. It is about suffering less and living more. 15. The physical manifestation of mental control. This battle is not just in your head. It has real, tangible consequences for your physical body. Chronic overthinking floods your system with the stress hormone, cortisol. This leads to poor sleep, a weakened immune system, weight gain, and chronic fatigue. It literally ages you and makes you weaker. When you master the mental switch and disable these thought loops, you are directly impacting your physiology. Your cortisol levels drop, your sleep deepens, your energy returns. Your mind and body are not separate entities. They are a single interconnected system. A calm, controlled mind creates a strong, resilient body. The man who has mastered his thoughts has also laid the foundation for peak physical vitality. He doesn't just think more clearly, he lives more powerfully. 16. Step 3 is redirection. Detection and dismissal are not enough. After you flip the switch and disengage from a thought, you will be left with a small vacuum of attention. If you do not fill it, the old thought or a new one will rush back in. This is why the third and final step is crucial. Immediate redirection. As soon as you've issued your verbal command, dismissed, you must immediately and consciously pivot your full attention onto something productive and within your control. It doesn't have to be a big task. Take a deep breath. Do one push-up. Send one email. Tidy one corner of your desk. The act of taking a small physical action firmly grounds you in the present moment and reinforces your control. It completes the circuit, moving you from a passive state of thinking to an active state of doing. This is how you lock in the win. 17. Seneca's ultimate weapon, the present moment. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively that the vast majority of human suffering is self-inflicted, born from two things: worrying about a future that hasn't happened and regretting a past that cannot be changed. Both are illusions that exist only in your mind. The only reality, the only place where you have any power, is right now, this present moment. Overthinking cannot survive in the present. It requires you to time travel into the future or the past. By training your focus intensely on the task, directly in front of you, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the words you are typing, the conversation you are having, you starve overthinking of the fuel it needs to exist. The mental switch is in its essence a tool for forcing your consciousness back into the only moment that matters, now. 18. The common trap. Suppression versus observation. It is critical to understand the difference between suppressing a thought and observing it. Suppression is an act of fear. It is saying, I must not have this thought. It is bad. This gives the thought immense power and ensures it will return stronger. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It will eventually burst to the surface with even more force. Observation, which is the Stoic method, is an act of courage. It is saying, I see this thought of anxiety. I acknowledge its presence, but I do not grant it my belief or my engagement. It is allowed to be here, but it is not allowed to be in charge. You are not fighting the thought. You are rendering it irrelevant. This subtle distinction is everything. It is the difference between being a prisoner of your mind and being its warden. 19. From a trick to an identity. In the beginning, using this mental switch will feel like a conscious effort, a trick you are playing on your mind. But with consistent practice, something profound happens. It stops being something you do and becomes part of who you are. You no longer have to consciously think about flipping the switch. It becomes an automatic reflex. Your fundamental identity shifts from, I am an anxious person who is trying to be calm, to, I am a calm person who sometimes observes anxious thoughts. This integration into your core identity is the final stage of mastery. It is the point where you are no longer just practicing stoicism. You have become the Stoic. You have become the man who is, by his very nature, the calm centre of any storm. 20. The final outcome. Projected power. This entire process, this inner work, is not just for you. It inevitably projects outward. The world responds to the man who is in control of himself. When you are no longer a slave to your inner turmoil, it manifests as a powerful presence. Your conversations become more focused. Your decisions become more decisive. Your posture changes. Your eye contact becomes steady. People can sense your inner stability, and they are drawn to it. This is the foundation of true leadership and influence. It is not about manipulation or loud displays of dominance. It is the quiet, unshakable strength of a man who has conquered the only territory that truly matters, the space between his own ears. This is the power that overthinking steals from you, and this is the power you are about to reclaim. So let's bring it all together. The war against overthinking is not won with force. It is won with strategy. The mental switch is not one of suppression, but of elevation. From a panicked participant in the drama of your mind to the calm, detached observer, it is the three-step process we've covered. First, you detect the thought loop the moment it begins. Second, you issue a decisive verbal command to dismiss it, based on the iron law of what is and is not in your control. And third, you immediately redirect your focus to a present, actionable task. This is not a quick fix. It is the daily practice of a lifetime. The ultimate takeaway is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the silent consciousness that notices the thoughts. You are the power that decides which thoughts are worthy of your energy. That is the fundamental truth the Stoics lived by, and it is the truth that will set you free. Thank you for dedicating your time to this deep work. You are part of a small percentage of men willing to do what it takes to build an unconquerable mind. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and join this community. Now I want you to answer this in the comments. What is the very first area of your life where you will consciously apply this mental switch tomorrow?